Hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of Reactapalooza. I'm Kelly.
I'm Wiley.
And today we're going to talk about Life is Strange. And we're not just going to talk about Life is Strange, we're going to talk the hell out of Life is Strange. This episode is filled with spoilers on spoilers on spoilers. So if you haven't played this game, turn it off, get out. You don't want to hear us right now.
Yep, go watch our video review, then come back later.
And then come back. So I guess we should just start from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit about how episode 1 kind of slow to start. I wasn't too into it. Hello was starting to annoy me a little bit, and
Definitely
just like
a lot of hellos.
Yeah, like the whole like chemistry between everything going on, I just wasn't getting into. Did you feel that way?
A little bit. I would say I enjoyed the first episode. It definitely, the stakes are somewhat low at the beginning, and it has the benefit of having a real arc that gets more and more exciting as it progresses through the episodes, kind of peaking in episode 4 and having a really nice climax in episode 5 as well. But episode 1, there's just some awkward conversations. You're wondering
what's going on.
when's the turning point? When are these characters going to be worth caring about? But there were still moments in episode 1. I haven't played it in a couple of weeks. You have it more fresh in your mind than me, but I still thought it was good. But it definitely exponentially improves as it goes on. I mean, I think the episodic nature worked for this game because after each episode concludes, you're left with a lot to think about. Less so with episode 1, but especially episode 2, 3, and 4 all have these endings where you're like, holy crap, I got to see what happens next.
Yeah.
But it's also good to take it in and digest and sort of think about it and wait for the next one. So I think I was kind of iffy on episodic games, but I think if they're done right, it's a pretty cool format.
And I think episode 1 ends where you save Chloe and then you're like telling her basically everything that's going on. Am I right? I'm pretty sure that's...
I only remember the ends of 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, so it's been a while since I played 1.
How does 2 end?
2 ends with Kate on the roof.
Okay. So we'll go back to that in a second. But yeah, so basically like the end of episode 1 is just like that, like getting your feet wet, getting to know the characters a little bit. We meet Chloe. Chloe's not in it for a little while, but I still stand by the fact that Chloe is like my favorite character in the game. I love Max to death, but I really like Chloe's character.
Chloe's a great character, and especially you get to see, she's like an onion. You get more and more layers pulled back, and she comes across as this tough punk girl, but as you learn more about her, you learn that while she is, a total badass in some situations, she has lots of moments of vulnerability, a past that really haunts her. She had a tragic accident with her father dying. So, as was the case with many other characters as well, I think that better than most games, you really get a sense of the best of a character and the worst of a character, which is, as I said in the review, I think it's one of the most finely written adventure games certainly ever made.
I think that when it comes to, like you were saying, with everyone having like you see the best and the worst of everybody. You see it with Max. Like Max can be like the most genuine, sweet girl, but that almost takes away from her in ways that she wants to help everybody. She wants to have Chloe be happy, but it ends up hurting her physically and mentally because some of the decisions you have to make is just really, really tough. So I want to talk about Kate. I managed to save Kate, for those of you who saw me play, with the help of some super fans. So, but were you able to save Kate?
I was not on my first playthrough, and I had a feeling, so the game has this rewind mechanic, as you should know if you're watching the video. So if you make a decision you don't like, you can go back and change it. This may be the only sequence in the game where that's really not an option.
Yeah,
because you're having some sort of issues with your powers. And you have to really have a very specific set of dialogue options for her not to commit suicide. And after that, I was like, wow, this game's amazing. It's one of the most powerful moments in recent one of the most powerful moments in recent gaming history for me.
Because you want to save her. Like, I
oh,
was,
absolutely.
like, I was, like, on the edge of my seat, like, no, like, this isn't happening, I can't rewind, what the hell, like, come on. And the thing that also I thought was kind of like the game pushing you off a ledge, literally, was the fact that you had to look through her stuff and really know her in order to save her. And I think that right there is really awesome. I didn't look through her thing, so I didn't know about like the poem thing, or no, the Bible reference.
Bible verse.
And I looked at that and I was just like, no idea.
Yeah, the game really becomes a lot more immersive if you do take the time to
I wish I
go
had
through
to
different
in the
things
beginning.
and read notebooks and read emails on people's computers. And the whole situation with Kate being as someone that has this viral video of her making out that's been like at a party making out with a bunch of people was a very sort of taboo subject that they handled very well, I thought. And it speaks to the sort of maturity of the game as a whole, that it was done in such a, I don't know, tasteful and believable way, I thought. I thought Kate was a very sympathetic character. I didn't think it came off as, the fact that she was very religious didn't come off as cynical or anything like that. So, props to Don't Nod for writing such a plausible and believable character that may live and may die. That's one of the other things that I thought was great. Some of the decisions may seem a little bit trivial. They don't change very much. Some of them affect it in subtle ways. Like, I think something that you say to Victoria in episode 1 or 2 comes back way later when you're at at the party. No, at the party trying to get into the VIP section.
Yeah, but I think they're talking about the paint.
Yeah, right. At the point where you can either like be a jerk when she gets paint on her shirt, or you can.
Were you nice to her?
No, I was
nice to her. So
you were nice to her?
Yeah. So in the end, because basically your whole relationship with Victoria ends up leading you to that moment where, does she believe you about Nathan? Does she say like, maybe I should watch out for him, or is she like, nah, fuck you, like I'm gonna do what I want?
Yeah. So for me, she didn't believe me. So I was thinking that would be doom and gloom for her character. Luckily, it didn't turn out that way. But it was just too tempting for me when she was such a jerk.
Yeah, no, I agree. But so when when Max gets kidnapped, Victoria's there, and then she passes out, and then she wakes up again, and she's not in mine. And then Mr. J, which we're gonna talk about Jefferson later, he says like, oh, like she was in the way or something like that, or she wasn't good, and she's gone. And Max is like, no, and I don't remember what happens to her. Time changes too much. I don't remember if it assumes that she's dead, that he killed her, that she's gone. Did that happen in yours? Was she even down there at all?
She was down there, but I thought those were all sort of like alternate realities that Max was kind of going through when she was looking at the photo, and she was seeing all types of things like Chloe making out with Victoria on the couch, talking shit about Max.
No,
is that the part you're talking about?
I'm talking about before that. Before she has those hallucinations, or maybe it's after. It's not connected to that part exactly. She's down there, yes, but I think that's towards the end, because Max has been jumping so much at that point, and then she's like not being able to figure out what reality is anymore. It's before that. It's like when she first wakes up, she's there and she's passed out, and then she gets knocked out one more time, and then she wakes up and she's gone. So I'll need to look into that some more.
Yeah, I'll need to refresh her on that as well, because as far as I remember, Victoria did not get killed.
Okay, because I was nice to her. I was wondering if maybe that kind of backfired, like trying to be nice and fucked up anyway.
I think that on a personal level it affects things, but on a live or die type of thing, I'm not sure if that was affected or not. We apologize for forgetting some things.
This game is so massive. There's so many ways you could go about it. It's tough to remember things.
Yeah,
you guys know.
Yeah, it was a sizable adventure too. Each episode's a good 2.5 to 4 hours long, I found. So
yeah, I was surprised. I'm like, oh, this is longer than I was expecting, or I thought I could end here, and it didn't end up there. So, there's a lot of different spots.
And I think it's on sale right now for like $10 on the PSN store. So if you haven't played it yet, which you're dumb for watching this video, as I've said before, but
you should check it out.
Yeah,
try to get it. Okay, so I want to talk about Nathan a little bit. He was being pegged as like the bad guy. Like, he must have done it. Everything points to him because when you start the game, episode 1, he's pointing a gun at Chloe. So did you think that he was definitely the creepy guy from the parties, or what were you thinking?
I didn't think he was necessarily the big bad. I knew he wasn't a good dude, and I knew that he'd been mixed up in some bad shit.
Right.
But I wasn't quite sure how much to the extent that he was. I will say I was a little surprised the fact that he had already, was pretty much committed murder at this point.
Yeah.
And was in on this thing with Mr. Jefferson, who, that for me was the
mind-blowing.
Was the most mind-blowing part.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess some people say they may have seen it coming, but I don't see how.
I don't know how they could have either, but I really like how you can tie it back to like that very first like classroom. I love how we keep going back there and how like that whole thing with Mr. Jefferson and what he's talking about and just being creepy as fuck. I love the last time you're in there and you just like completely tell him off if you want to.
Yeah.
It's a little weird because then you're also like, I love you, sort of weird, but anyway.
Yeah, episode 5 got a little trippy.
Yeah, it was really trippy. So what was your reaction to the basement? First off, we were talking about this a little bit before. There's a D-pad outside the basement, and apparently you were saying that you were super awesome and you found the code because you remembered seeing it from somewhere in your notes or something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember where. There's several sequences in the game where you need to remember either 3 or 4 digit number combinations, and for some reason the first one that just popped into my head, or maybe it was the second one, ended up being the right one to get in the basement. So
if you play again, guys, there is a way to like get into there other than just like seeing which dials were worn off the most, because that's what someone told me and that's how I got in. Again, awesome fans helping me out playing the game when I was like freaking out. I'm like, I don't know where this is. So
yeah, always a bit nerve-wracking when you're stuck on Twitch.
Yeah, it's okay though. We still love you. So what was your reaction to the basement? Did you have any idea that's what you're going to walk into?
No, I didn't expect it to take such a dark turn. The game gets, the stakes get higher and higher as it progresses, and just to see it kind of go full on psychological horror pretty much in the final moments of the game or final sequences of the game was pretty shocking to me. So yeah, I guess I loved it, and I'm glad that it did take the turns that it did, but the game really kept me on the edge of my seat and kept me saying, wow, I did not expect that.
Yeah, I think that the fact that it was photography too. I mean, photography is obviously like a main theme in this game. You're at a photography school, main character's a photographer, bad guy's a photographer. Every
trophy in the game or achievement, if you're playing on Xbox, is gotten from taking a picture of something in the world. Yep, and I got all of them. Yeah.
I think that that's something we could talk about, like the themes a little bit of this game, but I think the photography might be one of them as well, just like a moment in time sort of thing. And I think that we could talk about the fact that Chloe's happy ending could never really exist in this game. I mean, I don't know how you guys decided to end your game. I ended mine with, I did both because I didn't know you could do that.
What should you do first?
I did the sacrifice Chloe first because, I mean, obviously she dies. She can't be happy. The first time we get the choice to kill Chloe is actually, backing up a little bit, is, what was the episode?
End of episode 3, where you go back to a timeline where your father doesn't die. You prevent her father from dying in an accident, and you see a completely different version of Chloe in the present that's got different colored hair. She's got a father that's alive.
She's in a wheelchair. On life support. So it's a pretty heartbreaking moment, but also a very powerful one. So what was your question really about Chloe? Well, did you kill her, first off? Did you end up showing mercy and killing her, or did you have her live?
In both sequences, I had her live. Right. I had her live in both.
In both?
In both. So, 'cause the first time I was like...
We played complete opposite games.
Yeah. Well, the first time, although I thought maybe it was the right thing to do to pull the plug, per se, more literally, I was like, this is not a friend's decision. This is a parent's decision. Like, imagine if a parent walked in and you like unplugged your
holding
best
the
friend.
plug. Oops.
Yeah. It's like, this is not going to turn out well. And I was just trying to play it as if I was actually Max.
That's true.
Yeah. And at the end, the final sequence where you can save Arcadia Bay or you can
Max.
save her, I was selfish and saved Chloe. I was like, I don't want this all to be for nothing, even though, it's more about the journey than the destination. But I just wanted to see that ending first. I knew as soon as I was done, I was going to go on YouTube and look up the other ending, which I did. And I think that one's a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit more...
Yeah, I wasn't satisfied with the ending you chose. It's just like driving through town, peace, like we're done.
Yeah.
Bye.
The other one seemed definitely more like it's going to be the Life is Strange official canon if they ever make a sequel, which I doubt. They don't need to.
I don't want them to at that point. It's so good. But
Yeah.
Backing up a little bit, you said something about it's the journey along the way. I think that is also with the photography thing. So it's like taking a picture, like you have that moment in time, but it's also like getting to that picture to remind you how you got there. And I think that this whole game is about, because if you play it as I think that like most people did, if I remember the percentages right, you play it so that you sacrifice Chloe. And the other thing is that the whole butterfly effect, choosing, and then there's the physical butterfly, the blue butterfly, that's there when Chloe could possibly die, and then is there at the end of the game as well.
Way back in the beginning.
Yep, and it's there a few other times, and same with the deer. But I think that both of those are kind of constants in this world, that there's so many different variables and so many paths you can go on. And I think that the ones that the deer, like, what did you think of the deer? Did you just think it was just like a sign of hope? Did you think it was Rachel?
Yeah, I haven't thought too much about the symbolism of the deer, to be honest.
Because it vanishes when you find Rachel's body, so I think people were saying that it's like her spirit or something like that.
Oh, well, that's very cool. There's a lot of layers to Life is Strange.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to have a game that you can discuss like this. I mean, there are several of them, but I think Life is Strange is kind of told so cinematically and effectively and engagingly that it kind of begs you to have conversations with, oh, I did that. Oh, no.
Yeah.
You saw that? I never even would have thought to go around that or read this notebook. So, yeah, I think it's really cool that video games are getting to a place in storytelling where, these type of conversations happen.
And this is like becoming the norm. I mean, first like Telltale, well, not first Telltale, but Telltale was doing like a bunch of them, and now there's stuff like this coming out, and it's really exciting that the story is becoming more important than the actual gameplay. And
I don't know about more important.
I think that
for this game it is, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
But I think that the fact that exists is very cool.
Yeah, and I think that Life is Strange effectively kind of finds a happy medium in between a Telltale game, which more recently, having played through Game of Thrones, Walking Dead Season 2, have great writing, great acting, but they don't really have anything as far as gameplay, besides walking from point A to point B and pressing one of the 4 face buttons to make a reaction. There are some really cool sequences in Life is Strange. The whole part where you're playing detective and you have all your clues up on the corners here, and you need to get the photographs and find the license plate. And
I think that might have been my favorite part of the game.
Yeah, I thought that was a super well done, cool part. There's a couple other parts I definitely could have dealt without, trying to find the 5 bottles in the junkyard.
Yeah.
Took me way longer than it should have. But I really like the fact that it's not just all dialogue and all story. There is some challenge, nothing major, nothing Dark Souls or esque or anything, but there might be times where you're a little stumped. And I thought it effectively kind of bridged the gap between old adventure games, which have extremely hard puzzles, and newer adventure games like the Telltale ones that really don't have any.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when it comes to games in the future, I want to see more like these. I want to play more like these, but at the same time, I still love my old games that I don't I want the whole thing to be round. Like I want to be able to do all sorts of games. I want to be like, I'm not really in the mood to like shoot zombies. I want to go and do this and have options of games that I haven't played before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about this game.
You should play Firewatch next. It's made. The new studio, Santo Games, is formed from people that used to work at Telltale, so it's got a lot of really good writing and story. So maybe we could talk about that next time.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, guys, thank you for checking us out. Leave a comment, like it, follow us, watch us. We're on Twitch, so check us out. Have a good one.
Peace.
Deuces.
Peace, I mean.
What did you say?
I was just not looking at the camera at all.